Hey there, just going to give you a quick run through on how to prep an SD card for the GDEMU ODE on the Sega Dreamcast. I'll try and keep this as short as possible. You can see here we've got the TOSEC archive open on, well, archive.org. This is the ROM dump that you're going to want. That's going to be compatible with the GDEMU. Everything will work off the bat, no messing around. Some extra tools we're going to use here. We've got Link Gopher. This is its GitHub. You don't need to use it from here. And I mean, you may choose to use something like JDownloader, but this is how I do it. So yeah, you don't need to use the GitHub here. You can go to your add-ons manager and just install it through here. There it is, Link Gopher. That's just responsible for extracting all the links off the page that we want to download using ARIA2C, which is here. So ARIA2 can be found on GitHub. Here it is. There's the latest release there, 1.36. So you want to download that if you want to follow this guide. And I've just got the documentation open here, just to show us our switch flag thingos. And we're also going to use GDEMU Card Manager 1.35 is the latest release here, January the 3rd, 2022. And that's about it. So there are a few other utilities that I use, but there are always different ways to do it. So I'll be using Total Commander and 7-zip here for the decompressing of the files. I've downloaded a couple games here, which I didn't really need to do. I could have just recompressed my already decompressed ones, but that's why that's there. We'll get into that in a minute. So basically, you want to go to the archive.org's library here for the TOSEC dump. We've got it open, and then just click here on the download options for show all. Now here I've already got Link Gopher installed, which is here, and we're just going to extract by filter, and we're just going to put the extension of the files we want here, which are zips. So I'm just going to put .zip. This is going to give us all the links for the games here. There are some double ups, for example, here where you've got the .zip/. That's not going to download. It'll just throw an error, but that doesn't. It's not a worry. The ARIA2C will continue and just ignore those, so we don't need to tidy this up or anything. We can just grab everything here. I'm just going to hold shift and click to the bottom. Grab all those links, and we can just throw them into a notepad file. And I've already done that, so I'll just show you the notepad file. So we're recording on this screen there. So I've just opened Notepad and pasted that in. So it's just blank notepad file, bam, save that where you want it. So at this stage, I've already got that saved in here, and we've just called that dl.text. So that's our list of games that we want. This obviously applies to any other console that you want to grab the games off archive for. We've already got ARIA2C here ready to go, and I'll just run you through that. I've made an alternate bat file here which will make more sense than this one. So to make these files, you just basically open Notepad, and we'll write out our batch, and then we'll save it. When we save that, it'll default to having a .txt extension like this downloads. We want that on this file, but for these other ones we just want to change the extension to .bat. However, in this case, this is our text file. We want that text extension on this one. So here's the one that I did use, download.bat, and here's its contents. It's a little bit more cryptic. We're just setting some basically they're sort of like variables, I guess. So we're calling DL file, and we're just defining that as the DL.text, and then down here where you use the batch file variables, they're in percent signs. So I mean that's essentially the same as just what I'm about to show you. So that's a little bit cryptic, but that is what I used. But we can just do it a simpler way here. So ARIA2C and then the -C flag, which means continue. That will just continue the download if it's interrupted. So you turn your computer off, your internet can crash out, whatever. When you double click this batch file, it's not going to affect your downloads. The ROM set will continue downloading. So that's what the -C is, which is the same as -- continue, shorthand. So then we've got I means download from file, and the file we want to download from is the DL text, which we've created with all the games that we want to download. So that information came straight off the ARIA2C guide. So here it is, continue, and the I here. And you might want to also add a directory switch there. So maybe we want to put the games in a games subdirectory. In that case, we can edit our batch file here, and we'd add the directory. So at the end we go /d, or -d I should say, and then the name of the directory we want it to go into. I'll just give that a crack actually. Otherwise, everything downloads into this same directory here, and we get a mess of files. So we'll just open this one. I'll copy it. I'll open Notepad, and we'll try this out. So we want the directory switch, and we want it to go into the games directory. So we'll just call this one DL alt2.bat. That actually did save as a batch file, which is perfect, so we don't need to change the extension here if we just put .bat when we save it. And we'll test that out and see if that works shortly. I did test the other ones, but that should work because that's what it says in the manual for ARIA2C. So I think that's it. We'll just click on this one we just created here. We'll see how that goes. There are some rubbish files which we can delete easily after. That's these PHP files. So yeah, there it goes. So it defaults to downloading 4 files at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. It's downloading 5 actually. 5. So there's the download speeds of all the games and everything. And we'll just check what's going on. Yep, that's going into our subdirectory, and there's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games that's downloading at once. I mean, when we want to clean up these rubbish files later, these PHP ones, that's a simple piece of piss. We just click the extension here in Total Commando to sort by extension, and then we can just hold Shift and bam, like that, highlight all the PHP files and delete them. Or I've got this set up so that we could actually go like this, wildcard down here, so search for wildcard of everything ending in PHP, and that will filter the PHP files, and we can just simply go Control A and bam, delete that. But that's once the download's finished. But yeah, that's it. So we'll just get out of ARIA. I've already got the library downloaded. As mentioned, I did use this one here, which has got the download set to 4. So it looks like it defaults to 5. But essentially, other than this batch file downloading 5 ROMs at a time, our other 2 here download 4. So it's that simple to set up. Okay, so once all the games are downloaded, now I just sort through this manually because I downloaded it all into just the one directory and it was a bit of a mess. But just over here, just for an example, they're going to be zip files, and there's going to be, like, all of these games here are just going to be zip files. There's going to be a shit ton of them. Just like in download, just like in here. These aren't finished yet, so I can't decompress them. It'll just throw an error. So what we do is we just highlight them all, and we hold the right click button if using Total Command. Otherwise, do this how you want, and then I'll have to demonstrate over in this window because those ones are already decompressed. We just go 7-zip and extract to wildcard/, and that will put all the files in the respective directory, respective to the game name. So we'll do that, just demonstrate, and that's got its own directory, and so will the next. And there we go, so we've got Air Force Delta, we've got 18-wheeler American Pro Trucker. Now the reason we do that is because you've got track01.bin, track02.raw. Every game's got those same files, track01.bin, track02.raw, so we can't keep them all in a single directory. They need to be put in a folder with their respective game name. So I'm just going to delete those. That was simply for the demonstration. But yeah, here we have all our games ready to go. Sometimes you'll get double ups, different versions of games. It's not too critical which version you use. You'll rarely find much, if any, difference. But they do come off different runs of discs that were pressed at different times, possibly at different factories. I think that's usually probably what the difference will be, rather than any gameplay or patches and so forth. So we'll move on to the GDEMU manager. So obviously that was shown here. Just quickly show you again. We're using 135 straight from here. Also important to note, this requires .NET version 5 to run. So I've already got all that sorted out. You've probably already got .NET installed, but if you don't, here's a link for it. So we will run that. And this is where things get a little annoying. You can't simply go into your games and select them all with Control A and then click Open, because it'll just open one at a time and expect you to add the game one by one using the GDI file. And that's just going to take ages. So what we do here is we use the default Windows Manager. I'm sure you'll find a way to do this if you're not using Windows, if you're using Wine and Linux or whatever, but here we're using Windows, so we'll just open the default Windows browser. We'll go into where we've got our game stored, then we'll go up in this search box and we'll just do the wildcard search for all GDI files, just like that. Then when we click search, that'll just go into all those subdirectories and it'll just filter out all those GDI files for us. From there, we can just go Control A. We could drag that straight into the GDEMU card manager. Bam! So there's pretty much the entire US Dreamcast library. You know, there will be some double ups in there if you want to get rid of them, but this is less than 400 gig here. So in this case, we'll just leave it as it is. We've already got our card prepped there. If you don't know how to prep that, I'll run you through it quickly. We're going to use Rufus. Just search for that quickly. Rufus, the reliable USB formatting utility. So here's 4.1, that's the latest release. I've got that here ready to go. I'm using the portable version. There's just the exe file which just runs on its own and can be placed anywhere. So here I've got it on my P drive in Rufus Ubuntu. So I use it for making Ubuntu USB drives pretty often. Well, every now and then. So we've got that selected on here. Basically all these optical drive emulators, they'll want to use either FAT32 or exFAT. You can't really format in those structures using Windows. By default, it'll basically only let you do NTFS. That's why we're using Rufus. Here we're just going to choose FAT32. We've got our 512GB SD card here selected. Non-bootable, we're just formatting it. We're not turning it into some sort of bootable drive. We just click start. And then obviously we click OK. I've already got that formatted. So we're ready to go here. Do have a temporary folder which I'd like to set here. I don't want to use my C drive, that's an SSD. So it's got a finite number of write cycles on it. I'm just going to set this to this temp file here that I've created, just to do any file stuff that it needs to do. Whatever's happening there, I don't know exactly how it works. I didn't write it, but I mean that's it. It's ready to go. So we'll just click save. And do I want to save changes to my SD card, which is the K drive at the moment? I click yes. That's it. Now it's just the waiting game. Basically, once that gets to 100%, it copies all the games across. It's done. It's ready to go. You can stick that in your Dreamcast with the GDEMU and launch the games. And yeah, that's it. So yeah, I hope that helps some people. I've heard of a lot of people encountering issues by not using the TOSEC dump, and yeah, so that's it.